Have you ever loved something so much that you just want to make it happen every day? Me neither. This is a podcast a day, another pod, another film. This one, of course, another film I despise. And I'm recommending it to you because my taste is obviously famously bad. I wonder if any of these films haven't been seen by anyone. Obviously not. I see the analytics for these. But it'd be interesting if, some of these films hadn't been seen by people I was recommending to them, and these actually were somehow becoming people's new favorite films. Like, oh my god, thanks for the recommendation, really good. When they're like simultaneously some of my like in their own genres for their own reasons, some of my least favorite films. But that would, I guess it would prove the theory correct, and I don't know if that would make me happy or sad. I don't know if it's good to have. Well, I do know it's bad. Today's film, and I feel like this is the third time I've kind of done a Marvel movie and said this is my least favorite. In some kind of words, I think I gave the title to Thor: Love and Thunder. I shat on Ant-Man Quantumania a little bit. I'm not sure which one actually is my least favorite, but here's another one for its own special reasons I want to chuck in the ring. And it's Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 came out in 2010, directed by Jon Favreau. Let's read the synopsis, I think. It's not the armor that makes the hero, but the man inside. With the world now aware of his dual life, you could argue a little bit Hannah Montana-esque. It doesn't say that here. I added that. The armored superhero Iron Man, billionaire inventor Tony Stark faces pressure from the government, the press, and the public to share his technology with the military. Unwilling to let go of his invention, Stark, with Pepper Potts and James Rhodey, all getting to him, Rhodes at his side, must forge new alliances and confront powerful enemies. Now, not being funny, mate, pretty sure I remember the enemy in this film. Powerful was a bit of an overstatement. I remember it's the guy with the whips and chains, and his board. And I can't remember if he's just like the beginning villain, and it changes to because like in Iron Man 1 you got like the terrorist, but like by the end he's fighting. You built this in a cave with a box of scraps. Like that's who he's fighting towards the end. So I don't know if the whips guy is just like I'm just here to sort of lay down some fun set pieces, I guess, because the beginning scene, and I've since became a fan of Formula One, and that they're not racing. Actually, I don't really remember the scene at all. I don't know if they're racing F1 cars here. In my head, they're racing around Monaco. Elon Musk, I remember actually, she's nothing to do with F1, but he pops up for like a random odd scene in this film. So it's kind of got that about it, like similar to like Home Alone, Trump just randomly there. It's like kind of got that sort of charm isn't the right words, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's got that just kind of this film, like it makes the film feel like it's so far away, like in a place where Elon Musk just popped up and he just looked like another extra to most people. Whereas now it would be a whole thing, and we'd have to make it like a reference to that, and I would hate it. I would hate seeing Elon Musk pop up in any film that I was watching now. If I'm watching Dune, and he's just one of the guys riding the worm, I'd be like, oh no, 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 no. But, and I think they're at Monaco, they're on that track. In my head, that's where they are. It's like, since was an F1, I like that. The suit up scene's cool when they slide the suitcase. Like, that's an iconic scene, kind of, at least for superhero films. I feel like it's one of the coolest suit ups. Like, I would put that above. I feel like the classics you got sort of falling in Iron Man 3 when he, like, clicks the armor and he sends it all onto Pepper. That's, like, a cool one people like. Walking into like the apartment as he walks in, it's like all the suit going around his arms and that. In the later ones, all the suits, like the suit ups are like all nanotech, which I know people liked at first, like in trailers, like oh that's cool, and very quickly became nanotech sucks. We want real like tangible sort of looking armor and less this sort of CGI paint. But it's a cool scene. It's a cool scene because it's kind of in a way where it's like, oh, I could see a world where someone was really smart and they actually could make this, and I could see the mechanics of how this is working, other than just completely just buy into this is just futuristic bullshit. It works. How does it work? Because it's smart tech. So that's kind of cool with it. The whips do practically look kind of cool, like the sort of going around and that. The villain with them the synopsis being, it's not the armor that makes the hero, but the man inside. They didn't, they kind of knew that that was important for the hero, but not so much the villain. Because like the villain, not that his suit is particularly cool. He's basically walking around like a little sort of, BDSM kind of, like his nips are out. I'm pretty sure from what I remember, right? And he's just kind of got whips. But like they thought this would look cool whipping the stuff on the street and that. But the villain on the inside, oh, didn't quite nail that. So they kind of didn't get both sides of the coin there. Jon Favreau, obviously, I know him. Let's see what other films he's directed. I don't know. He still does direct films, right? I wasn't sure if he completely had transferred to like acting or just directing or what. But I'll be interested because I never know. Like I know Jon Favreau, but I never know like directors. Like whether I know the director or not, I never know other stuff they've done. So it's always fun to see. He did that new Lion King. Okay, did the first Iron Man. He did Elf, which is like, this is what I mean. What the hell? He did Elf. Great film. I've probably only seen it like 2-3 times, but it's a good film. He did Zathura, sort of space. It was like space Jumanji. Jumanji for the new generation. I actually like Zathura, but then again, Zathura is in like a collection of films. Josh Hutchinson's in this, right? A collection of films, which I watched like once at a certain age. I never watched things since, and in my mind, I still like them. People might think this film's awful and trash, and they might, talk about. People do it with Shark Tale all the time, but it's like, wow, you mean you looked back on this animation that came out 20 years ago and you think the animation's not great? You know what I mean? I like Shark Tale, but then again, I've not seen it in 15 years, whatever. The Mandalorian, Cowboys versus Aliens. No, Cowboys and Aliens, not seeing that trash. Did the Jungle Book. Think that was decent enough. Jungle Book, though, Lion King, these types of films. He hasn't done that many. He did a film called Chef, 2014. Yeah, so I would say his, I don't know what I'd place his style. Like, I don't know what his style is. He's got a couple like Disney remake films, Zathura, Iron Man, and Elf. So like it's a bit over the place, Mandalorian. So I don't know what his thing is, but I wouldn't say he's bad. Um, I gave this film a 2 star out of 10, and to be fair, this is probably one of the closer ones that I have compared to like the average rating that other fans are giving it, 451, and on average, people are giving it a 2.9. It's only zero point 0.9 off, and I gotta say, before we get into reading some of the other people's reviews, the reason I hate Iron Man 2 so much isn't actually because I think it's not actually because I think the villain is really weak or anything like that. I mean, he's not that interesting. It's not Army Hammer. He's the other one. He's the cannibal guy. Honestly, he'd be probably a more exciting villain. It's Justin Hammer, the character's name. I just don't care, but that's not actually the primary reason. I mean, you already know it's what this is titled. It's Rhodey, it's Don Cheadle. We switch here because of like money stuff, or for whatever reason we don't have. Oh, I don't even know his name. I'm trying to say I prefer him a lot more. Like Terrence Howard, I think his name is. And I just whenever I see Iron Man 1, and I see the chemistry there, and I see how it played on Iron Man 1, and then I see Rhodey being played by Don Cheadle in the second one, and I'm watching this as a child, obviously for the first time, and since growing up, slightly older child, whatever, but watching it, going, I've not seen Don Cheadle in anything else. Obviously, he's like a huge actor. It's kind of one of those things. It's like big actors on set always like going, oh, I love working with kids in a normal way. And what they mean is like, because sometimes they might work with a young actor who knows them, and on set they're like, oh my god, I love your stuff. You changed my life when I saw, Nightcrawler for the first time. And they don't like it or whatever. When they work with a kid is just like, they have no idea who you are, and that can be nice. Like, who did I see say that recently on a film they did? I was watching like a little. It was that YouTube channel that does like um the Siege Corridor Crew. They do like the CGI breakdowns and stuff. And they was talking to a director on one. They did like a director's episode, and in that episode, the director was talking about working with the old guy. This is, I mean, I don't really know the stuff he's been in, but the old guy in like the Marvel movies. That could be a lot of people, I understand. Robert Redford. and he said he was working with Robert Redford, I think, on a film, and in the film, Robert Redford's in it, and all the other cast are like 8-year-olds. So they don't give a fuck about Robert Redford or think he's a legend. And he said he found that quite like, oh, that was nice. That was like sort of freeing or cool or just chill or whatever. So that's me watching Don Cheadle. I'm like, don't know, like you're Don who, you know? You're nothing to me. Like I'm like, who even are you, Don Cheadle? You know what I mean? Like, you've not earned any respect. You got to earn my respect. I'm 8 or whatever, however old I was, right? And I would have been older than that, but just don't like him. I just think Terrence Howard was better. I prefer Terrence Howard, and also it doesn't help because maybe Terrence Howard would have been playing this character the exact same way. But like in the first one, it's like there's a scene where like Tony they're getting on the plane. Like this probably, and it's fine. It's part of his character development, but they probably wouldn't have it if they was making them films now. They're getting on the plane and they're like, Tony's like, have a drink, and he's like, no, I'm not drinking, I'm working. And then it like hard cuts, and there's like a stripper pole that raises from the ground, and all the air hostesses or whatever you call them. Is that what they're called? Air hostess, flight attendant. I don't know what they're called, but like they all dance on the pole, and then they're all drinking wine. And he's like, you know, he said he wasn't gonna drink, he's drinking. Another example would be like Tony's testing the suit, and then he calls him up. He's like, I'm in the suit, because he's with the military people, and he like lies to him. He goes along with it. He's like, he gets him out of that situation because ultimately he cares about the military and stuff. But like, you know, Tony's his boy. He's gonna do the business for him. And then after he's on the ground, he talks to Tony. He's like, it's not just as easy to say, you know, because Tony's been flying around in this Iron Man suit. Obviously, the public are like, what the fuck's going on there? We want answers. Tony's like, it's cool. Just tell him it was some army training procedure. And then he's like to Tony, it's not just as easy. Or maybe it wasn't Tony who said that, but he's like, it's not just as easy as saying. It was just some army, you know, flight test procedure. Again, hard cut. They do that a lot. Hard cut into the thing of him saying, yep, we were doing a test flight procedure or whatever. And it's like, he's like not a full-blown neek. Like, I feel like Don Cheadle comes in and he's like full on like, you know, the friendship is secondary to like his job and like the army and like playing by the rules. And maybe they was gonna have Terrence Howard switch to be that like that in the second one if he came along, or if that's like something more just like Don Cheadle playing him. But I just remember watching being like, God, you're so annoying. Like when like Tony's like, yeah, being a schlubby mess and drunk and stuff, but then Don Cheadle comes in and he's like parenting him, and he's now got on his suit. Like in the first one when he's like, Terrence Howard is like, oh, next time to put the suit on. In my head, I'd have it as a cool way where like, yeah, I want to see him in the suit. Now I'm watching the second one and seeing how he actually has the suit on, and I'm like, I'm angry. I'm like, you know how Tony's like, that was my father's shield. But that's his voice sounds nothing like that. But you know, he's like, put that down. You don't even deserve to have this. That's how I felt. You don't even deserve to be wearing Tony's armor. You're trying to bully him out of the armor. How are you even good at it? How are you even close to being him? I get he's dry. Like it just pissed me off, and it just put me on the wrong foot from him, from the jump. Just going Don Cheadle, Don Howard. I think I just put their names together. Don Cheadle is like a job's worth, like brown nose. Don't like him. He'll turn character. And I just always preferred it with Terrence Howard. And but since then I've seen Don Cheadle and stuff. I got so hung up on thinking I just didn't like Don Cheadle for some reason. Like it's so silly looking back, you know, because so many times you see people get angry at actors and send death threats to. I mean, I wasn't this hung up on it, but send death threats to actors because they played a character who was like a serial killer or did something bad, or even just like I remember in Glee, the kid who was in a wheelchair. When people saw him walking in real life, they was like, liar, that you like attacking him because like as if he faked being in a, you know what I mean. So people get hung up. They can't separate. People say separate art from artist. Some people take that to an extent of they literally can't separate the fact from fiction. This is pretend. Thanos didn't actually snap. That these aren't actually, you know what I mean. But yeah, I was kind of like that to a much lesser extent. But just thinking, I don't like this Don Cheadle guy. No, not for me. But then I've seen him in stuff since. I'm like, no, Don Cheadle's actually really good. I actually really like him. Like in this, like I saw him in like he wasn't even in it that much. I saw him in the thing with it's like Greta Gerwig. It's Adam Driver. Fuck, I'm gonna have to Google. I don't remember. White. Oh, I had it for a moment. No, Bombach. How would you find it? Adam Driver. Let me just look for his IMDb. Not his IMDb. Well, House of Gucci, Marriage Story, Ferrari. No. The Last Duel. No. Black Klansman. No. White Noise. Yeah, I was close. I was right the first time. White Noise. I was like, I was immediately within seconds. I was just like, I like what he's doing here. I just liked it. I was like, oh, I like Don Cheadle. It was actually just this specifically. So realistically, a large part of why I don't like Iron Man 2 is because of you, Don Cheadle. So I hope you know that. No, but it's true. I don't like Iron Man 2. Mainly, he bothers me that much in the film. And maybe in case that I didn't make that clear, I've just ranted about it for however long. In case I didn't make that clear, Don Cheadle annoys me a little bit in Iron Man 2. Let's read some other people's reviews. Let's read the 3 most popular reviews of Iron Man 2. See if they're anything along the lines of what I've just said, or if I'm crazy. The first one says, it's 2.5 stars. Bring Justin Hammer back, you cowards. I've heard this a lot. MCU fans and stuff. There's like a real love for Justin Hammer. Apparently he's coming back in Armor, so TV show that's probably going to be mid. And I don't get it. He was a bit charismatic, a bit smug or whatever. I get it, but I don't see him as this. I don't know. I just don't get it. But a lot of people love him. Next review, 3 stars. It's just a bad meme that I don't even. It's just a bunch of emojis. Third one, 2.5 stars. I don't know what any of these reviews are referring to. I haven't seen the film in so long, so these make no sense to me as I just read over them real quick. This one's a relatively new one. This film is carried heavily by its soundtrack. The villain was not memorable, but definitely a decent watch. Is this like more just like Back in Black? Or was that the first one? But I think in this one he's like he jumps out of the plane or a helicopter into the suit. There's like an iconic scene like that where one of the songs plays. No real good reviews here, if I'm being honest. So I'm just gonna go. The review I'm gonna give. I'm gonna log right now. Letterboxd should be linked somewhere. Still haven't done it yet, but it should be now. It's just gonna be basically exactly what I titled this, which is Iron Man 2 made me hate Don Cheadle, and we'll leave it at that. That's my review for Iron Man 2. What film am I gonna do next? I don't know. Something I don't like. Probably that's exactly the whole theme here. But yeah, that's all. So thank you. This is another day, another pod, another film. Do I have a thing I usually say here? I feel like I usually have a thing I say. I don't think I do. So that's all. Thanks. Dankeschön.